So I've been reading and watching a lot of horror lately in preparation for some YouTube reviews I was going to do in October. And I have to say, I suppose I've always noticed this, but it's become clearer when I'm just reading and watching stuff back to back to back like that. But it seems to me that if you pick up a random horror comic or movie or novel, that, doesn't matter what one it is, but the odds of there being nudity or a sex scene in it is, I'd say, about 70 to 80% higher than if you just picked up a random drama or action movie or movie in any other genre. And it just sort of bombards you if you're watching or reading a bunch of horror stuff. So I wanted today to maybe discuss why I think that might be. I haven't Googled it yet. I've wanted to sort of theorize myself a bit and to ask you guys what you thought before I just went and Googled and tried to find psychology papers on the subject. So I've come up with three... Yeah, that's 3 fingers. I'm sorry. I thought I held up 4. I'm very tired today. That's why I'm consulting notes, because... brain dead. First possibility that occurred to me is that just, well, actually it wasn't the first possibility that occurred to me. The first possibility that occurred to me is the third reason I'll mention, but it's the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Cynical reason, so I'll I'll just save that for last. The first possibility, and it could be all of these, or in part, but it's just that sex equals vulnerability. And nudity too, for that matter. That, I guess if someone were to list under what circumstances they would least like to have some, source of danger come upon them, it's just that obviously the situations where you feel the most vulnerable. So, when you're sleeping in your bed, when you are in the throes of lovemaking, I suppose, and when you're showering. Come on, Psycho. There's a reason that she got attacked in the shower, okay? Because it was just preying upon the fears of the audience, or they're just sitting there thinking, yeah, I would just be screwed in that situation too. I would have no, no recourse. I would just be and then just, you're done. So that's one possibility. A second one, I was thinking about, old belief systems, and how they used to tie everything to the occult. And I don't know if that was just... I don't know how much of it was just genuinely them being overly flippant paranoid about everything, and just okay, everything wrong in the world, or anything I disagree with ties back to, the devil and his minions. Or how much of it was them trying to scare people away from going into certain things by trying to say, no, it's this, and this are all connected. I mean, not like nowadays, if you don't want somebody to do something, then you would probably say, well, and you're just gonna make up crap, and say, well, people that do this thing are 70% more likely to suffer from depression or commit suicide, and you'll also maybe catch cancer. It seems like whenever I go and look at some of these older texts, there's just this, anytime you look at the stuff involving the occult, every sort of thing ties into it, whether it's, alcoholism, devil worship, big sex parties, that all sort of tied in to one thing. So I suppose there could be some undercurrents of that, and whether it's that people are thinking about that now when they're making stuff, or if it's just that because those original beliefs tied into the occult, that it's sort of been passed down and still connected with it even in modern horror. And I think of vampires too, and how there's always been this sort of sensual element with them. And there's just sort of them manipulating your mind and pulling you in, and that just, I think, ties back to super old fears, but manifested into an interesting story. And the third possibility that occurred to me is just that the creators think that sex sells. I wrote the word sales, S-A-L-E-S, so that's why I mispronounced it. But yeah, so they think that, or just the director's like, I want an excuse to see a girl topless, so let's throw it in there. And it's just that they know they can get away with it in horror, because it's literally, you know, you're watching a movie where people are gonna get stabbed and murdered, or, you know, torn apart by some monster. Hi, Big Ear. And, so they're like, well, there's already blood and gore and death, what's you know, a couple pairs of boobs. So they just throw it in there. And they think that it'll, you know, whether it's just for funsies on the part of, you know, pervy director, or whether they think it'll make their product more appealing. So yeah. Also, I want to say, horror comics are arguably worse in this respect. Which in that case, I kind of just think it's maybe not just them trying to sell things, that maybe it's just that the creator really likes to draw this stuff, or they think that it's gonna help the story. And maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, maybe I've been reading the wrong horror comics. This is what happens when you just Google stuff at 2 in the morning, and you're like, oh yeah, here's a list of horror comics or writers that I should read. I'll just buy a book by them and not read the article because I'm a moron. So, anyway, don't make purchasing decisions when you're half asleep. But, anyway, I was gonna say, in comics, the ones that I read, and some of them, I guess they're more psychological horror, perhaps, than, you know, what one might generally think. Come up with when they think of horror. But it was just non-stop. It's like, okay, every third page, it's like, okay, well, somebody's having sex again. And you get to see all the parts, not just the parts that they show in movies, because they don't care about when it's a comic. Which, anyway, I've gone off topic. I feel like I'm going to regret making this video. You know, couple years down the line, if I actually were to ever get like enough views or subscribers that I could monetize my videos, that I would make less money per video because I made this video. And they're like, no, that's not as advertiser friendly as you not talking about that, so we're going to pay you at a slightly lower rate. And I'll just have to deal with that. But I wanted to talk about this, and it sounded so much more eloquent in my head. But I'm going on vacation this weekend, so this is the only time I could film it. So this is just the version of this that you get. So anyway, what do you think? Why do you think there's so much nudity and sexuality in horror? Let me know in the comments. This has been fun, I suppose. So I'll see you guys. Oh, I'll be uploading those reviews that I was talking about, comics and movies and stuff, here in the coming weeks, and throughout October I'll be releasing a few. So keep an eye out for that if that's something you're interested in. And let me know in the comments what you think, or if you think I'm completely wrong about anything or everything in the video. Let me know. So, bye.